Hello, Ian.
Hello, Professor. Good evening.
How?
Uh, Agma? Agma Hami Trang, but, cheerful. And,
Trying Jay.
Trang, but cheerful. How would you say, like,
Oh, Tolacha. Sunda.
Policha, Policha,
Yeah,
happy? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Tolacha. Sunda.
Hi,
Yeah.
Kamera Hawahin.
Oh, Hamigama. Hamigama. Trang. Uh, Matasavich. Matasavich, as usual. Mataham Yankoni, as I always am. Koyu. Koyu. Yeah. Anyway.
Reading anything good right now?
I'm sorry.
Are you reading anything good right now?
Oh, I just finished a little thriller. Eric Ambler, yeah, and he's a pretty good writer. Uh, Wrote, I don't know, during the '60s or '70s or something like that. And then
Okay,
I just,
yeah.
and then I just started a new translation of the Iliad. No,
Okay, do you know who the translator is?
yeah. Well, first it's the Odyssey that I started.
Let me
Uh,
see. Okay.
uh, Emily Watson.
Okay.
Yeah, and the not militia. And the blurb on it was very very interesting. The first female translator, and so yeah, so that might be
I think that,
kind of
go
interesting.
ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, so that might be kind of interesting. You know, uh, to see yeah, what,
Yeah, please let me know what you think. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I have her translation of Oedipus Tyrannus in my to reads. So
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
yeah, because
Yeah.
she did a new translation fairly recently.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
I read an essay of hers on Oedipus on Sophocles, and it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
phenomenal. So I'm hoping I like her translation as well.
Yeah. 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 Huh. So, range. Mm, mm, You know, you know, as we've encountered here, sometimes translations are very tricky. I was listening to a lecture, about how regarding the accounts of the crucifixion of Jesus, of course, right? And the word used in Greek, so the Gospels are all in Greek. We have nothing in it, any supposed original Aramaic or Hebrew. In fact, they might be entirely a Greek invention. But anyway, but besides that, the 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 word used it, and I can't remember what the Greek word is, but the word used is the same word for a pike or a stake, like a stake in the ground. Same word that's used for, say, a fence post. And at no time is there any description or any reference or anywhere in Greek literature of this word being used in reference to a cross, a T cross. And the reference to a cross was only appeared in the second century, in the late second century. I think by a fellow by the name of Justin Martyr, and but it's continued to be translated, or I guess mistranslated, in English, and probably all other references as a cross, as a T cross, and and then amplified, of course, by all sorts of depictions. But I just find stuff like that fascinating. Somehow the stake or this post got mistranslated as a cross, and so it's sort of like the Mandela effect. Everybody thinks it's this, but it's really not. So anyway, so it's always interesting to see a fresh translation of something.
I learned recently that Leo Tolstoy is not called Leo in Russian. Uh,
Oh,
he's Lev. I forget if it's short for a full name, but it was when he was first
oh
being
yeah,
translated. It was
yeah.
Leo in French, and then when he got translated to English, the Leo was retained.
Oh,
We
really?
all call him Leo Tolstoy, even though he was never called Leo.
I, I watched this movie in Spanish, and it kept going back. It was this conquistador named Cristobal Colon, and I was like, I've never heard of this guy. And I looked him up, and it's just Christopher Columbus. That his name was really Cristobal Colon, and we call him Christopher Columbus for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, okay. Blanche, any Nyack? Vil Nyack Dunyasumbi? Anybody have any news? No? No news? Okay.
I do have one question though,
Yeah.
and this is not really like grammatic or even very linguistic in a useful way, but I'm curious because I just heard Manx spoken in a video for the first time recently, and I was
Yeah, I'm
really
sorry.
amazed by. Sorry, I have to. Sorry, I'm speaking a little quietly. I heard Manx spoken in a video recently.
Manx
Manx, yeah,
from the Isle of Man.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And I know that visually, when I've seen it written, it looks very different from Gaelic. And so to hear it spoken, I was surprised at how similar it sounded. And
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if you know anything about mutual intelligibility between Irish, Scots Gaelic, and Manx, like just sort of broadly how much overlap there is between the three languages.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, a great deal of overlap. Mutual intelligibility kind of depends. There are some forms of Irish Gaelic that are intelligible with some forms of Scottish Gaelic. I mean, so where I'm so if you can picture the areas, the areas that the Gaels from Ireland transferred to the Western Isles, those are the closest. Okay. Um, now, of course, the languages are deeply related. I have a I have a fluent Irish speaker, in fact, a teacher in well, not my teacher, but a teacher of Irish in my advanced class. And so I mean, so we encounter something, and I say, "Well, how's that in Irish?" And he said, "It's the same thing, pronounced a little bit different, or like that, but the grammatical structures." So, uh, um, uh, you can tell. I mean, so if mutual intelligibility uh, is kind of iffy, but it's sort of like if you went to some parts of England where they have deep accents, Yorkshire or Cockney or something like that. They're speaking English, and you can kind of, you know, hear that it's English, but you can't quite understand it. So, oh yeah, yeah, so if you ever see, yeah, I've seen some English movies, that have subtitles for the American audience. I mean, they're speaking English, but yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah. And Manx is in that category too. And so, the Isle of Man was part of the Gallic uh, uh, environment. So yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
just curious. That makes sense that it would be kind of like heavily regional in terms of actual intelligibility. But
yeah,
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 just I will see things in Irish, for example, and I'll be like, I can kind of figure out what that might mean. So it's
Yeah,
fun.
right.
Just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. And then one of the major differences of Irish is some of the notations. Well, so they have um uh I mean, like Gaelic Lanites, with an H. Sometimes you'll see other letters doing something like that. That are uh, particles. That are grammatical particles that don't have meaning, but affect the word, in one way or another. And so those affect our ability to read it, but yeah. So uh but if you listen to Irish, you can hear that it's Gaelic. So you might not be able to understand it, but you can hear that it's Gaelic. It's like voices in another room. I mean, I can sort of, you know, can't quite make out what it is, but I know it's something. So anyway, yeah, yeah, there's a fascinating book on Lore Moore, Now I'll see if I can find it and just
The big book, the great
yeah,
book.
yeah. The Great Book of Gaelic. Oh yeah. So here, hold on a second. Okay, share. Okay. Yeah, here's a Wikipedia page on it. And here's the cover. Okay. Um, and it's a it's a joint Irish Gaelic publication. And it has poems, let's see, from the 6th to the 20th century in both languages. I mean, not each poem in both languages, but a selection of poetry from Irish and Gaelic. Uh, and it's really a wonderful book. So anyway, yeah, yeah, I'll give you the yeah. It's amazing, just a short. Look at this. The references are longer than the actual article, but it's really. But I'll give it. I'll give you a.
I,
Uh,
I had a professor that did Chinese translations of poetry.
uh-huh.
Like he translated Chinese poetry into English. And he said that
Ah.
Chinese is such a nuanced language that all of his notations would be like pages longer than the poem he was
All right. Yeah.
translating. He'd
Yeah.
be like explaining why he chose a certain word, but really it would be used this way, and like you have to have all kinds of context. That's fun.
Right.
Language
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And I've read that too, that sometimes it's possible. I mean, to look at what we call Chinese, but actually many languages in China, Mandarin, Cantonese, and all sorts of others. But uh, but it's possible to read them in several different ways. Even for literate Chinese people. So but yeah. So hold on one second. Let me. Yeah. Yeah. So I put a link to the Wikipedia article in chat. Okay. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's kind of pricey. It's Amazon has it for $55. If anybody's interested. But it's really a wonderful book. Let's see. Well, uh, okay. Bookfinder has used copy for 40. So anyway, yeah. Well, there used to be a website for it, but I don't know if there is anymore. Uh, yeah, no. Okay, anyway, uh, but it's really a wonderful book, and it's got uh, another feature that oh, uh, uh, oh, oh, yeah, okay, hold on. It's been a long time since I've pulled it out. It's very dusty. Anyway, but it's got some wonderful artwork in it too. So each poem is accompanied with a page of original art by Celtic artists. So anyway, and it it has the Gaelic, whether it's Irish or Gaelic, and then an English translation. See, so and then the artwork is very, I wouldn't call it surreal, but it's very imaginative. You know, it's not photographic, as it were, or photorealistic. Yeah, yeah. Some of it very. So it's got, yeah, but it's really a collector's item. So it's really a wonderful book. So anyway, it's quite recommended. So anyway, so okay, well, so we travel some time down that rabbit hole. Yeah, it's fascinating how conversations go. Uh, yeah. So anyway, all right, okay. Any any other questions? Okay, no, okay. All right, okay, all right, all right. Well, let's take a look at what we've got today. Uh, okay, let me go back to Zoom. I'll do a share. In the screen. Okay, all right. So, Gail talk. Okay. Uh, and this week's Piper, a Piper, er Blauer Kuloter. Okay. Okay. On Schiefla Jug, 1646. Okay. Okay. The 16th, of Schiefla Jug, Yen Giplin. Okay. 1646, 16th of April. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, anyway. And our placeholder for the link. Okay. So, Falcha, as usual, we'll do a little Falcha proverb of the week, grammar. And this week we will be no new grammar items, but we will be drilling and hopefully, embedding more deeply into our learning um, the past tense of the irregular verbs. Okay, and then doing and that's with exercises, and then I will uh, talk a little bit about Blar Huloter, uh, the Battle of Culloden Moor, which is Blar Huloter, and Aramach nan Shemasach, the Jacobite rebellion, right? And then a song in the week will be Oren Eile Don Frunza, Another song for the prince. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is a little preview of talking about the oh,
Sing me a song
wait,
of a lass that is gone.
wait. I'm sorry. I forgot to do the proper share. Okay. There we go. Okay. Where are we? Okay.
Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Stay put that lass be I. Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain, sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Means gone, the love that is gone, they together behind. Sing.
Okay, anyway, so that's a little introduction to the battlefield. And one of the reasons that this is important, it's just not a battle. I mean, so I'm not I'm not fascinated with military history, but very often Gales, and I've heard Gales say this, that Gallic history divides into before Culloden and after Culloden. So it's important for us, I think, to recognize what that is. Why that's such a watershed. So anyway, so um, here's another little uh, of, uh, clip, couple minutes. This from BBC. It's titled Femi Anti-Beck. Does anybody know what that means?
I know Tyvek means
Is that
water
the
closet.
toilet?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The little house.
Nie, co to się dało je? A mix pasta.
Renata e cafés. Ready? Oh. Biedko agus go a bheis go a chuiachain.
Ani kiri dagen.
Son de havelteach hé mas fit a challe. Na, smooth feeling.
Kim fire.
All right. Okay. Now, one of the interesting things there is they call it Tyvek. Ty is masculine word, so it should be Tyvek. But there's a tendency I've heard amongst Lewis people to over feminize words. That is, to feminize words that in other parts of the Gaeldom would be masculine. So, that's an instance of, feminizing Thai. So, because as we know, the article for a feminine noun is lenited, right? Thai Viet. All right. Okay. So let's go on. Okay. I'll share again. Okay. All right. Okay. So Shanach on the Shechina. Okay. A clock beck. Clock beck. A little stone on a little stone. A leanach bairn and more. A leanach bairn and more. Okay, down here, little stone after little stone fills a great gap. Okay, so word of wisdom, okay, the Becker Veck, okay, little by little. So clock beck or clock beck a leanek, Bjorn and more. So so it's not necessary to make a great leap, or in this case, fill the canyon all in one day. Okay, just a little bit every day. Just okay, does it. And this goes for many different things, including language learning. So as we do here. Okay. And the little write up here, the importance of consistent effort, even if each part of that effort is small. Okay. And a little note on writing a book. Okay, not necessary to write the entire book in one sitting. Okay. Stephen King, renowned, prolific, famous, popular writer, once noted that if a writer composes just one page a day, by the end of a year, they'll have written a 365-page novel. So anyway, all right. So a clock beck, clock beck. Okay, little stone on little stone, a leonich, Bjorn and more. Okay, all right. Okay. There you go. All right. So we're going to go back to the past tense irregular verbs. Okay. And a little recall. Okay. Rach, root verb rach, past tense chai. And then question form on check. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Okay. Kluin, to hear. Chula, past tense. Ankula, chachula. Hick, come. Hanik, came. Antonic, or chatonic. Fike, to see. Chunik. Amphaka, did see, did you see? Fakatu. Chanaka, did not see. Jien, do or make. Rain, Andorain. Okay. And sometimes you'll see this, I'll make a little note, Andorain. Sometimes you'll see it as Andorain. Okay. So being a little bit uncertain as to whether we should contract it, Andrain or Andorain. It means the same thing, but you'll just see it differently. Okay. And Chatarain. Aper, say. Hurst, said. Anturst, did you say? Chaturst. Hor, give or take. Hook, antuk, chatuk. Okay. And phi, to get. Hur, got. Andur, Anduru, did you get? Chatur. Okay, so those are just a little reminder. Okay, all right. So give me a moment. I should have. I think I was organized enough that nope, don't know what's happening here. I just rebooted the computer. This should be okay. Let's see then. Where are we? Pilana chapters. Okay. Okay, so what do we got? Yeah, irregular verbs. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So go. Okay. So go. So do we remember what the root word is?
Go.
Yeah. Of go?
Is it roch?
Rach. Uh-huh. Okay. And what's the past tense?
Hi?
Kai. Uh-huh. And the question would be
Anchai. Achai.
yeah. Okay. And the negative would be
Chajech.
chajek. Very good. Okay. Chajek. Okay. Here, root would be
Is it kluin?
kluin. Uh-huh. Past tense would be did I hear hula? Question would be on
Anquala?
kula. On kula.
Ankula. That makes more sense.
Kula. Uh-huh. And negative would be
Chachu.
hachula. Hachula. Right? Okay. So so you notice some of these don't have the do particle. So come, root verb would be
Hick.
hick. Yeah. Past tense would be
Is it Herrick or no?
honic. Uh-huh. Honic. Question would be
Antonic.
ontonic. Yeah, very good. Negative would be
Tonic?
platonic. Very good. Okay. C would be
Phi?
Kun.
spike.
Kun.
Spike.
Phi.
Uh-huh.
Phi. Okay.
Past tense would be
Kun.
hunic. Very good. Question would be very irregular. You go back to the root, actually, close to the root. Amphaka.
Fuck.
Faka. You see, for this one, you go back to the root. And the negative would be cha.
Fuck.
Did somebody say Hanaka?
Oh,
You did, you're right. Okay.
no, not quite.
Not quite. Almost.
I didn't lenite it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these irregulars are irregular amongst themselves, even. I mean, so some of them, a couple of them look like they're related to the root verb, and a couple of them just really go off. Okay. I mean, where you get hunik from fike, I don't know, but then amthaka is kind of close to it. So anyway, so
The only
You
reason
were
I can
right.
remember it is that song Shoma Gruta Hunami, Shoma Gruta Roin Me. That's the only reason I can remember Kunik and Roin because of that song.
There you go. Yeah. You see, Sean Ruta Hunik means Sean Ruta rain me. Okay. So Duramake would be the root would be so here, if you remember the verbal noun,
Is it
remember
Jen?
Jan, very
Jen.
good. Yeah, like a Jennifer, like a Jennifer. So just Jen, okay. And the past tense would be
Roin.
Imikruta
Roin.
rain me. Okay. Question would be on
Druin?
Durain. Yeah, very good. On drain. Or as I said, sometimes you'll see on Dorain. On Dorain. Okay. But pronounce it's probably closer to Andrain. Okay. Okay. And then negative would be ha.
Is it
Hadron.
hot rain?
Hot terrain. Hot terrain. Yeah. Hot terrain. Yeah. There you go. Say would be, well, the root would be upper.
Up.
Upper. Okay. And then this is also an exclamation. You know, like, well, like in English, well, people don't say it that much anymore, but, you know, uh, say that's a beautiful baby, something like that, so opera, opera ma, and, oh, say that's good, or something like that, opera ma, opera. Okay.
Yeah, upper Jonaiach,
Opera
right?
Joe Nyack. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Past tense would be
Is it
Horst?
Horst?
Hirst. Very good. And question would be on
Torst?
Turst. Very good. Yeah, Turst. And negative would be ha.
Hot Horst.
Ah, tourist. Yeah, very good. Give or take. Okay, whore. Okay, so I don't know if we've had it yet. Yeah. We should. Yeah, I should probably offer it for us. There's a song, Horgo Dolav, Horgo Dolav. Give to me your hand, Horgo Dolav. Okay. Anyway, past tense would be, remember? Hook. Question would be
Anchuk?
Antuk. Very good. Antuk. Yeah. Okay. And negative would be ha.
Hook.
Hatuk. Yeah. And very often the question and the negative are very similar, or in this case, identical. Okay. All right. So okay. So for the next set, you're given a positive statement and you're to ask a question based on that sentence and give the negative of the sentence. So, example, Hi Ian Yan Vu. And so you're supposed to come up with Anjech Ian Yan Vu did, so Ian went to the store. Did Ian go to the store? Chajek Ian Yan Vu. Now, he did not go to the store. Okay. Question in the negative. Okay, so. Okay. Oh, I gave away too much here. Okay. On Jek Marigaki, negative would be, Kai Marigaki. Okay. All right. So, yeah. All right. All right. Okay. Let's hope the rest of them don't do that. This gives it away. Okay. This is what we're supposed to do. Kai Marigaki. Mary went home. On Jek Marigaki, did Mary go home? Hajek Marigaki, Mary did not go home. Okay. Oh, this is not doing what it's supposed to. Hold on one second. I don't know. You know what? I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. Negative verbs. I had this set up so the stuff flies in. Oh, that's irritating. Okay. Hold on. Did I leave it someplace else? Shouldn't be here, but I wonder if I accidentally. No. Okay. Anyway, well, We'll go back here and then we'll see what we can do. Anyway, so just read along. So, Hulami fuim outsantai. I heard a sound in the house. A question would be, on Kulami fuim outsantai. Did I hear a song on Kula? Negative would be Chachula mi fuim outsantai. Okay? All right, okay. All right, so somebody read this.
Hanik and teacher Tra.
Uh-huh, okay. The teacher came early, and the question would be,
Anchanik an teacher tra.
did the teacher come early? Very good. And the negative would be,
Chatanik on teacher Tra.
chatanik on teacher tra. Very good. Okay. All right. All right. Somebody read this.
Hunek shinanku.
Yeah, we saw the dog. Okay. Okay. Somebody read the question.
Amfaka shin anku.
Fakashin on ku. Very clever. And the negative would be
Han Akashinanku.
anakashin on ku. Yeah, clever. Somebody read this.
Rain Iet and Oper.
Rainiet on Oprah. Yeah, they did the work. Okay. Somebody read the question.
Andrain yet anopar.
Very good. Rainiet on Oprah. Okay. Somebody read the negative.
Chadrein ied on oper.
Rainiet on Oprah. Clever. Okay. Okay. Nope. Okay. Somebody read the sentence.
Ur mi kar ur anje.
Clever. Okay. I got a new car yesterday. Okay. Somebody read the question.
Anjur mikar oranje.
Very good. And somebody read the negative.
Hadur Mikar Uranje.
Hadurmi kar uranje.
Hadur mi.
Kar ur. Okay. Yeah. Somebody read the statement.
Hurstation room.
Station room. Okay. Yeah, the room would be to me. Okay. Okay. And somebody read the question.
Anturst ishin room.
Gleva. Okay. And Station room. Did he say that to me? And negative would be
Hatorst Shinrium.
Station room. Gleva. All right. Okay. Somebody read this.
Hook ileford. Yo.
Go. Okay. Yeah, kind of an open-throated guttural there. Okay. She gave a book to me. Okay. Question would be,
Antuk ior yo.
Tuki Loro. Okay. Gleva. And the negative would be
Hatuk Ilorgom.
Tuki Loro. Okay. Gleva. Okay. Okay. So now we want to make a question. Okay. So Ian Jan School on J. Okay. So we want to make this a question. So would it be Chai Ian, Anjech Ian, or Chajek Ian?
Anjech.
Anjech. Very good. Make a negative. Hula. Okay. Mian Kel Shin Eacher. Okay. Something about hearing the music, that music at all or ever. Okay. So it'd be hula, ankula, or chachula.
Chahula.
Chachula. Very good. Okay. Make a statement. So did they come quite late? Fatalach would be late. Hanek, Antonic, or Chatonic?
Hanek.
Hanek.
What is it?
Hanek.
Hanek. Yeah, Hanek. Yeah, we want to make a statement. Yeah, so they came quite late. Hanekian. Okay. So now we want a question. Shivan Chun Outsagarag. So something about seeing, seeing we the bird in the garden. Okay, so would it be Hunik, Amthaka, or Hanaka?
Amphaka.
Amthaka. Very good. Yeah. Okay. A negative statement. Something about doing the work already. Okay. So rain, antrain, or chatorain.
Hatorain.
Chatorain. Very good. Yeah, negative statement. We haven't done the work yet. So now we want to make a statement. She says she is tired. Groi ski. Okay. So was she Hirscht, Anturscht, or Chatterscht?
Horst.
Hirscht, very good. Yeah. She says she is tired. Okay. And that's a formation we haven't learned yet. The reported speech, Guro. Okay. So, but we'll learn that. Okay. Make a question. Okay. Did he give a book to me? So hook, antuk, or chatunk?
Antuk.
Antuk. Very good. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we want to make a negative statement. Okay. So iet yanvu ichur. Okay. Okay. So chai, anjech, or chajek?
Hajek.
Chajek. Very good. Yeah. They didn't go to the store at all. Okay. The correct form to make a statement. Okay. So, fuim outsandoricatus, something about hearing the sound in the darkness. So on kula, we want a statement. On kula, hula, or ha hula?
Hula.
Hula. Very good. Yeah. Okay. We want a question. Okay. Did you say that to her? Okay. Hirscht, Anturscht, or Chatterscht?
Anturscht.
Anturscht. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Good. Okay. And sometimes, you can just look at the particle. What does the particle say? Okay, the an or am would be a question form. The ha would be a negative form. Okay, all right. All right. And the correct form to make a question. Did you get it? Hur, andur, or chatur?
Anjor.
Andur. Yeah, very good. Okay. And go on to the next set. Okay. Choose the correct form to make a question. Oh, is this repeating? Yeah, this is repeating. I think I repeated this. So anyway, okay. Okay, so open-ended question prompts. So see if you can do this. Okay, so on Jekuyan Vu on J. Did you go to the store yesterday? So what could you answer?
Hajek mi yam vuanje.
Very good. Hajechme yanvu anje. Yeah. So now a little cheat here, a little cheat code would be with oo, you have to change the oo to a me. Okay. But anyway, but the second half of the sentence remains the same. You can almost read that off. So It's the it's the front half that you have to adjust. So either for the positive or the negative. So anjek, so either chai or chajek, chaimi or chajek. You get that? So the second half, you can just kind of copy it. You can do a cheat, okay? Figure out what the first half is, and then you don't even have to think about the second half, right? Okay. Okay. On Kulatu Kale Gallic on Check and Show. Did you hear Gallic music this week on Kulatu? So what would you answer?
Could I just answer with the verb itself? Could I just say hula? Hula?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Now, very often, though I will say this, very often, what we do in these types of exercises, we do both. Hula me kioga like on Check and Show.
That makes
But did you
sense.
get that? Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
practice, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Right. For the practice. But in conversation, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, you just give the one part. Hula. Yeah. Uh, you know, did you hear Gallic music this week? Hula. I did. Or hachula. Hachula. Or I didn't. No. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Hula mi keo Gallic or hachula. Okay. Okay. Antanakuyan class tra anju. Okay. Did you come to class early today?
Hatanek hujan chla.
Chatanik. Okay, Dleva. Chatanik. Okay. Hanik me or chatanik. Okay. Fakatu film ma or hun gorich. Have you seen a good film recently or hun gorich? Okay.
So I would say Honik mi film mao hyun hodich.
Gorich, Hanik me, yeah. Okay. Or on Hunik me, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Hunik me or Hanakami. Hunik me, yeah. Okay. Andorenu Oper Daki Rare. Did you do homework last night? Andorrain, so
Would it just be rain if
yeah, rain, yeah. Rain me Oper Igaki Rare. Yeah, I did homework. Okay. Or Hatorain. Hatorain. Yeah. On Turstil Rutigen on Gallic on you? And did you say something in Gallic today?
Horst
No?
ni rutikin on and Gaelic and
Hurst?
Jew.
Yeah. Hurst me. Yeah. Hurst. Hurst me Rutigen on Gallic on you. Yeah. Okay. Or Huthurst. Okay. But which is kind of contradictory because even in answering in Gallic, you're saying something in Gallic. So I guess so. So if you say Huthurst, you're wrong. Okay. Anyway, all right. On Tuku lore no notepad let Iran class. On Tuku, did you take lore no notepad, book or a notepad with you? Let Hyun class to the class. So on Tuk, so
To which I could truthfully say, ha took me
Hatuk.
your no notepad lat young class.
Young class. Okay.
I just use my computer.
Right. I use the computer. Okay, clever. Now hook me computer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll see if yeah, so we'll see if we can do this for a couple minutes. We have the English sentence and then see if we can give the Gallic translation. So, did he go?
Check.
So the question form of to go would be remember?
I'm having trouble remembering what the form is for that. The
Yeah. Ian, yeah. Anjeche, yeah. Very good.
yeah.
Anjeche, yeah. Anjeche, yeah. Okay. She did not hear.
How
Yeah. Hachuli.
claw.
Hachula, yeah. Okay. Hachulai. Okay. Hula is the negative is we don't use the do. I mean, so these are really irregular. They violate the rules of, in several different ways. And so anyway, so some of them like say rain, hato rain, we have the do, the particle, but with hula we don't. Okay? They came.
He it.
Did you say Hanukkah?
Oh no, I said hick. I said hick.
Okay. Hanukkah. Did you
Keep getting
see it?
stuck on the root. Hunik u
Okay, yeah, close. Hunik would be the positive. The question would be amphakatu. So here we go back in the direction of the root, fake. Okay? Yeah, amphakatu. And remember, the negative would be hanaka. We did not do it. Remember the negative for did?
Hardroin shin
Hatorain. Yeah, hatorain.
Hardroin shi.
Hey, yeah, hatorain shine. Yeah. You're so close. Okay. All right. He said that.
Would it be Hurst
Yeah, Hurst a shin. Hurst a shin.
Shin? Oh, I see. Because of that. That makes sense.
Uh-huh. Hurst a shin. Yeah. Okay. Did she give it to you? Oh, and the to you here would be Hut. Dhut. Hut. Okay, so remember the negative of whore. The positive would be hook. The question would be on
Took
took e gut on took e gut. Okay, yeah. Okay, on okay, yeah. Close. Okay. Yeah. All right. I did not go. Remember the negative for chai would be ha
Hajach
ajech.
Hajach mi
Hajech. Hajech me. Yeah, I did not go. Leva. Did they hear the noise?
Anhula it
It. I'm for him. I'm for
fu-
him. I'm for him. Yeah, and Kula Iet, I'm for him. Gleva. Okay. All right. Gleva. All right. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Oh, we only have one left. Okay. Might as well finish it up. She did not see the dog. Remember the opposite of Hunik? and it's very irregular. It goes back to the root, so it should
Is
be
it Haaka?
Hanaka. Very good.
Hanaka. Okay.
Ah,
Hanaka.
E
A.
Anku.
Okay. E
Anku.
Anku. Okay.
Yeah, flavor. All right, flavor. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. All right. Okay. All right, flavor. So I hope that was helpful. Yeah, and then you have the exercises, and you know you can do the exercises on your own and go through that. Okay. All right. Any questions? No. Okay. So I hope that's becoming a little bit more clear. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. The drills definitely help. So
Okay. Okay. Flavor.
Just need repetition from there.
Yeah. And yeah, so and that's the thing, and so and that's how we learn language from the very beginning. I mean, just the repetition. I mean, we hear the forms again and again and again, and it just kind of seeps in. Okay. All right. So now I've got a little something else for us. If I can get my computer to cooperate. Okay. Where are we? Okay. 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 There you go. Let me do the where are we? Right here and here. Share. Okay. I'll do the share. Okay. All right. Flavor. Okay. So I presume that you can see the screen now?
yes, we could see your
Yes.
slide deck. Yep.
Okay. Obliana Herrlich. Okay. So the year of Charlie. And so first I'll make the note that in traditional Gallic culture, very often, say, years and days were not numbered; they were named. So the 1745 or the 45 in English we refer to it by the number. In Gaelic we refer to it as Ambliana Herrlich, the year of Charlie. But let me ask you before we get started, maybe I'll go out of share for just a moment. What do we know about the 45 Rebellion, Bonnie Prince Charlie, and all that? What do we know about them?
I know that he led an army to claim back the throne, but eventually it ended in like a huge kind of massacre, and they did.
Yeah. Okay, very good. That's it, basically. Okay. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
The main reason they lost the Battle of Culloden was because they told them to stab to the right, and that broke
Oh,
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the charge.
yeah. Well, that was a technique that the English used. Okay, but there are other reasons why it was lost. But anyway, yeah. But you're absolutely right. That was a new technique that the English soldiers, the redcoats, employed to counter the fearsome Highland charge. But there are a lot of other reasons. But anyway, but that was one of them. Yes. Okay. But like I said, the the Gaels very often count history. I mean, like in the West, we used to have BC and AD, Anno Domini, before Christ and year of the Lord, or after the death of Christ, and or Nowadays, it's BCE, before the Common Era, and the Common Era CE. Well, in Gallic culture, very often, not officially, but very often, you know, uh, it's before Culloden, BC, okay, and CE, the Culloden era, okay, because because it was at this time, and we'll talk further, as we go on, as to what happened and why this year was such a watershed. Okay, why this event was such a watershed. But first, we'll take a look um, at what happened. Okay, so anyway, so let me go back. Gotta go back. Okay. Nope. I'm gonna go back to share. Go back to share. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Diana Herrlich. Okay. What was the 45 rebellion about? It was partly a dynastic struggle between different royal houses, the House of Hanover and the House of Stuart. And the Stuarts, of course, was the family that had been, the royal family in Scotland since the 1300s. Okay, when the original independence was won from the English invaders. So they were a long time on the throne. It was partly a religious struggle. Protestants in Britain didn't want a Catholic on the throne. And we talked a little bit about this when we talked about Mary, Queen of Scots, the strife between, and this particular war, the struggle between the Catholics and Protestants, had been going on for about 100 years. There were many Jacobites in Britain, and Jacobite after a Latin name for James, who was the primary Stuart claimant to the throne. Charlie was his son, and many clans in the Highlands were adherents to the Stuart house, the House of Stuart, which they saw as the rightful possessors of the throne of Britain. And also, the Stuarts were Scottish, were of Scottish descent. Okay, the Protestant families who claimed the house, claimed the throne, actually weren't even British. There's William of Orange, a previous king who was Protestant and came from the Netherlands. And then there's the House of Hanover with the three Georges, George the First, the second, and the third. One of the Georges figured so prominently in the American Revolution that the American fought against in their or our revolution. And that was a German family. So anyway, and as I said, it was partly a dynastic struggle, partly a struggle between the Highland clans and Scots against the English. And so there are many different things mixed up here. Okay. The House of Hanover, a German Protestant family, cousin to the former Queen Anne and Charles II, sorry. They were already on the British throne, and the father of George III, George II, who was the king in 1745, was the father of George III of American Revolution fame. And the first two Georges, I think the first and the second, couldn't even speak English. They were German. Okay, in fact, in some poetry, some Scottish poetry, he's referred to as German Geordie. The House of Stuart descended from the ancient kings of Scotland. That's a depiction of Robert the Bruce, the famous warrior king who won Scottish independence. The first king of both Scotland and England, James VI of Scotland, and the first of England was a Stuart. Okay, same person. And they are predominantly Catholic. And if you remember from Mary, Queen of Scots, or telling of the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, you'll remember that she was ardently Catholic, which caused some of the problems that she had. Who was Bonnie Prince Charlie? Charles Edward Louis John Casimir Sylvester Severino Maria Stewart. Okay, okay. Uh, 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 his uncle was Charles II, the king. Okay. His grandfather was the exiled Roman Catholic king, James II, who actually ruled for 3 years. And his father, James Edward, the Old Pretender, who's in exile. He titled himself King James III, and actually, this James, the Old Pretender, led a revolution in 1715, okay, to reclaim the throne, and he failed. He was not really Scottish per se, okay, but except by ancestry. He was characterized as an Italian Polish fop. He was given to boasting, foolish impetuosity, and self importance. Okay, so you'd say things like, I am determined to relieve His Majesty's subjects or to perish with them. Okay. One could see that as foolish impetuosity or courage of his convictions. Depends on whose side you're on. His heavy drinking, he was reputed to be a heavy drinker. Okay. And he consoled himself with alcohol. After Culloden, when he was hiding in the outer isles, he would drink straight from the bottle. And even in hiding in a cave, he'd host a party that lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. So he was quite a party boy. Plata Chafrunza, the Princess Shore on the Isle of Eriskay. So here's a picture of it. Okay, a small island in the Hebrides. A French supply ship was driven away by a British warship. His companions, and he was on the ship. He was seeking to sneak ashore in Britain. His companions besought the prince to return to France, but he was refused and chased by a British man of war. He escaped and landed on Eriskay. The Highland chiefs were dismayed that he had brought no French troops. You see, he promised to bring troops, arms, and money. He didn't. He was all by himself. Some refused outright to give him support, and he sought to convince them. They sought to convince him of the futility of his mission and urged him to go back to France. Some of the clan chiefs joined him against their better judgment. You know, loyalty to the old king, to the royal house, overriding their better judgment. You know, even those who joined him weren't entirely sure that they'd be successful. He stayed in a cottage, a humble cottage. Here's this prince, used to the finery of Europe. He stayed in a humble cottage. It was a cold, rainy day. Smoke filled the black house, so-called because the smoke would fill the house and blacken the thatched roof. He kept fidgeting. He'd go inside and outside. And his host didn't even know who he was, exclaiming in Gaelic, what a plague is the matter with that fellow, that he can neither sit nor stand still, and either keep within, that is inside, nor outdoors. So Angus MacDonald, old Angus MacDonald, didn't know who the hell this guy was, except he was kind of strange. Okay, right? Raising of the standard. So here's a map of Scotland. There's Glenfinnan. So he made his way to Glenfinnan in the western Highlands, and he judged he had enough military support and announced that he was claiming the British throne in the name of his father. Okay, so, and he raised the standard, and right there, oops, where are we? Right here on the top picture, you'll see the monument that's there. Okay, the raising of this, where he raised the standard being his flag. He marched with his Highland army, kind of a ragtag assemblage of Highlanders, chiefs and working men, crofters, and made a royal proclamation. And and he faced the British force holding Edinburgh Castle. Lord George Murray was one of his generals. He was a Scot and a Highlander, and he had much experience in fighting in Europe. So he's accounted to be one of the best military minds of the 1700s. He was viewed with suspicion by some Highlanders, and this was one of the reasons for the defeat of the Scottish clans, because the clans were always at odds, always struggling and vying with each other. George Murray was the leading, mind, but he aroused suspicion and antagonism. He had a quick temper. He was arrogant. He had a furious argument. He'd even argue with the prince. Okay. The prince wanted a direct frontal assault, and he favored a surprise attack, which was successful. But even in success, he was still viewed suspiciously, and he offended many people. Okay. He had knowledge of Highland military customs, and that was an asset. Okay? And there was a generalized Scottish resentment of exiles. You see, he was an exile, and he came back to Scotland, and the exiles were resented by the people who stayed in Scotland, okay? Because the Scots faced execution, and the exiles could just run away back home, okay? And he had right here, a poorly concealed view that Charles was a reckless adventurer, but he still served him. So Highlanders are far from totally united, and even though they followed the prince, they weren't totally convinced. And so anyway, early, oops, I'm trying to get this out of the way. Early battles, Prestonpans outside Edinburgh. Okay. A local farmer knew of a secret route through the marshlands to the government's army's open flank. Okay, so they knew the terrain, right? Which is always very important in war, because it's not taking place on, say, a football field. Okay, it takes place at a very particular location. Okay. And the Jacobite force set off at 4 a.m. in total silence, and they arrived to the east of the government army and surprised them. Okay. As the sky brightened, okay, then they charged. Okay. Uneasy sign of things to come. Dispute amongst the clans. The MacDonalds traditionally held place of honor on the right flank of charge. This they had done since the days of Robert the Bruce, which was 1300. This was that 450 years before. Other clans desired the prestige. Compromise was based on the drawing of lots, and the Camerons won. So much grumbling and complaining. Okay, the threat of mutiny. You have to keep moving this. And then here we have a map of the march of the Highlanders. Okay, following from Glenfinnan to Eriskay out here in the Outer Isles, and then to Glenfinnan, and then looping down here, Edinburgh, Prestonpans, Carlisle, Manchester, and Derby. And then you see they got this far into England, and then they turned back, looped up, and finally met their demise at Culloden. So they got to Derby, 100 miles from London, which is a 3 or 4 days march. They did not know that London was in a panic. Okay, the royal family was packing up to flee. So this is one of the great what ifs in history. If only they had continued. Okay. London would be deserted and they would have taken over. Okay. But they decided, but they retreated because Charlie had promised support of the English. He'd promised support of the French. Nobody joined the army. They were almost totally Highlanders. There were some Irish, small French contingent, but not in the numbers that the Highlanders were led to expect would come to support them. Also, because traditional Highland warfare stopped in the winter months, okay, and clansmen returned home. Okay, they had a lack of supplies; they weren't adequately supplied. They didn't have the support, and the clans and factions in the clans were feuding. And so the Council of the Highland Chiefs, you see, so even though there was a king, they had a council and they voted on it. The chiefs voted on it, and they began their long march back. They got all the way to Derby, then they started back. An Rat de Chuloter. Okay, so the road to Culloden. Okay, and that is an Ahechen. We'll do that next week. I'll tell you about Culloter, the Blar Culloter, An Rat a Chuloter, the road to Culloden. Okay, and that is something we'll do next week. Okay, stop the share for a moment. Any
He's such an interesting figure.
Yeah. Now, one of the things to watch out for, one of the things to be aware of, is Charlie gets a lot of bad press, but a drunk, he was fickle, he didn't know what he was doing. But if you read, and one of the things I have read recently, it's called A Lion in Mourning, okay, and which is a series of letters and accounts of after Culloden, okay, and the Highlanders who are with him don't report any of the bad stuff. He was on top of it. He was kind. He was generous. He was persuasive. He weathered the very worst deprivation. We'll talk about that next week. In his flight to the Highlands, because after the battle, the army was totally defeated, and he had to flee into the Highlands and hiding, and sometimes just a matter of steps ahead of the British soldiers. Always had to be careful as to even what Highlanders he'd trust, because not everybody was on his side. Some people were afraid. Some people wanted the reward. Some people, just might have been against him, maybe because he was Catholic. So who knows? But anyway, but we'll talk more about that next week. Okay. All right.
I was hearing a thing where they were saying he's portrayed as like feminine and weak, but that a lot of what he accomplished doesn't really mesh with that, and that might have just been people saying bad things about him just to say bad things about him.
Yeah. And also might have been a cultural thing, because he weathered the very worst of times, okay, but might have also been a cultural thing, so Highlanders were notoriously rugged. There's a story not about Charles, but from about the 1600s, it was even the law that chiefs, the sons of chiefs, had to be sent to university in the lowlands to go to school. And then they'd come home, and so the clansmen would kind of test them to see if they were manly enough to lead the clan, right? And so this one young chief, a prospective chief, came home, and the men of the clan took him out on a hunting trip, and so they were sleeping in the snow. So they just lay down in the snow to go to sleep, and this young man made a pillow for himself out of snow, which just about almost ruined all chances that he had of becoming chief, because the clansmen thought he was just too effeminate. He needed a pillow, even though it was of ice. So anyway, so there might have been a little prejudice there, against the against the big city boy. The boy used to hobnobbing with royalty in the courts of Europe. So anyway, anyway, all right, but we'll deal some more with it next week. And like I said, this is a very important watershed, very important turning point, and because before this there was an independent Gallic culture, almost close to a Gallic kingdom, a Gallic nation in the Highlands, and it was after this that all that was broken pretty suddenly. It didn't happen quickly. Or it did happen quickly. It did not happen slowly. So anyway, we'll come back to that. Okay. Okay, so let me go share. And so get out of some of these. Okay. And I will. Okay. Order on the Shechina. Okay. Another song for the prince. Era skrivich, that is written, le Alistair McFeister Alistair. Okay. Be Alistair McFeister Alistair Bart Ho Animal. He was a bard who was so famous. August Ava ounce on Och of Lean Jew, again, the 1700s. So he was around the time of Bonnie Prince Charlie. In fact, this is another song for the prince. He was friendly with the Cloyne Clanranald, one of the seps of the McDonalds, agus Donalich nan Ellen. Behain agus Funley Nicoil, a Chutchik Prince of Herlich. Okay. Helped Prince Charlie clown on his vragen. Skrive Dine, J. Himmick Sorsha. He wrote poems of every sort. Natur, nature, gul, love, Boranich, women, Ermach, the revolution is politics. Uren is Drabischach. Okay. Agus be skrive hiet dan more, no epic Gallic. Okay, no. Okay, I should put epic in quotes. And he even wrote the first epic Gallic. Okay. All right, so here we go. So as usual, we have our vocative, no, not the vocative, but the vocables. Okay. So we'll skip those and you can follow along as they come up. So it goes mochsavaten miguskuk. Mochsavaten smiguskuk. Early in the morning as I awoke and I awaking. As mormohunt Mihilgara. He said, great was my joy and my merry song, Mihilgara. Onachulami Amprunsa, since I heard Onachulami. There we go, hula. That I heard that the prince Hiendog Duich Clanrol has come to the country of Clanranald, Clan MacDonald. Okay. Onachulami Amprunsa, since I heard the prince Hiendog Duich Clanrol come to the country of Clanranald. Grania Mulakach Riu. You are the crown jewel of every king. See, the Highlanders didn't think, or at least the ones who liked him, didn't think that he was a fop and weak. He's referred here as Grania Mulich, which means literally something like the top grain, like grain of wheat or something like that, but means something like the crown jewel or the very best of the best. Um, on what in English we have cream of the crop, something like that. Okay, Slan gum chil usa herrlich. May you return safe. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, great. Okay. Oh, Glen Ronald Torren. Okay, clever. Okay. Grania Mulich, Gachriu. You're the crown jewel of every king. Slan gum chil usa herrlich. Saunha ir ul guntrulach. It's the true blood, unstained, undefiled. Ir hul, fear would be true. Il, fuel, be blood. Guntrulach, stained or polluted. Ansagruius marinara. Okay. In your cheek, Ansagrui is marinara, with great modesty. Soundhain ir ul guntruluk. It is the true blood, unstained. Ansagruis mornara, mari barach nahushla, along with an abundance of nobility. Gary suisle jonata, rising up with good nature. Mari barach nahushla, with an abundance of nobility. Gary suisle jonata, rising up with good nature. Snanchik to reached, if you should come again, Viekakchir nan acha, every lord would be at his post. Literally, nan acha, in his place. That is his place of battle, or at his post. Okay, all right. So those are the words. So let's go to the song. It's a rousing song, written by somebody who lived through the 45, lived through this time. Can you hear that?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
that.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, so tonight I had to leave, I guess. Anyway, so any last comments, any questions?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right, okay, all right. Well, Tapalev Huludinia, is Himishiv Ana Hek.
Tapalevolov.
Orva.
Chiriandrasta.
Chili Andrasta.